Excuse my rather rudimentary sketch, but this will give you a little bit of an idea. I was fixed at the bed now for the next 4 months in Ipswich Hospital, and I mean really fixed. I had my leg in a Thompson splint, and to hold it securely there was a bolt drilled through my tibia. I wasn't awake for that. And then there's a counterweight pulling my thigh muscle so it doesn't contract too much and give me a shortening of the leg. After the first week it wasn't too bad. I wasn't really in any pain. I was just waiting for the bone to heal and mend. But I was permanently looking down at the badly scarred leg. 20 stitches in my knee and 34 in my thigh. Looked rather ugly, but as most of the time it was covered up with a blanket, so nobody really saw it. I was very lucky because there was a guy next to me, young lad. He was 17. He'd also had a scooter accident, exactly the same, broke his femur, so he was in the same contraption as I was. I got to know him very well over the next 4 months. Boredom's a big factor in hospital. I can remember we used to have to wake up at 6 o'clock and we were given a bowl of water, towel and bar of soap to freshen ourselves up so that we'd look bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when the day shift people came on at 7 o'clock. I soon wised up to this, and instead of having a cup of tea first thing in the morning, I used to ask for a glass of milk. I would drink a large portion of the milk, but the rest of it I would tip into the bowl. The bar of soap was white. It looked like I'd had a wash, but it meant that I could then go back to sleep, and I'd wake up when breakfast was arriving at 8 o'clock. Bowdy did this as well later on next to me. I actually had my 20th birthday in hospital. I'd asked one of the nurses to get me a crate of beer, 12 bottles of beer. Was I wasn't aware of that somebody who'd been in hospital and came back to visit also brought 12 bottles of beer. Now there were only 10 of us on our ward, so there was plenty of beer to go around, but it just meant at night the night staff were very busy, keep running backwards and forwards with fresh bottles. A majority of us couldn't get out of bed. I'll leave that to your imagination. I don't know if this is the same in other parts of the country, but there, Tully Colbert Brewery actually gave everybody in hospital a free pint of beer on a Sunday with our Sunday dinner. I thought that was quite nice. Spending such a lot of time there, I began to pick up a little bit of Suffolk accent. Apparently when I came home, people said I'd got a Suffolk accent. Perhaps I'd got more time on my hands than I thought. The dialect. We are very short with our language in the Midlands. For instance, we laugh. That's it, we laugh. But there they laugh. Laugh you did, boy? It's more of a tonal thing to it. I don't know. Judge for yourself. Go to Suffolk sometime. Buying second-hand cameras, whether you want them to use them or whether you want them as an ornament, depends on you. Just finish off your collection. I was lucky just recently. I managed to pick this Fuji up and it seems in very good condition. One of the things, it was at a car boot. There'll be a little button somewhere, that's the one for this Fuji, so I can, yeah, that seemed quite good. And I was able to do that on the day, just hold it up to the light and check to see if the apertures were clean and running smoothly. Seems to be perfectly okay. On the Olympus, it's this little trigger on the side here. See that? So the diaphragm does actually work on these. The other thing to look for is any crazing over the lenses. It just means it's been badly stored somewhere, that it's got moisture in it and then it started to craze over. So that's another thing to look for. This is nice and clean. Other things to be wary of is check the actual shutter is releasing. Some of them are jammed up, but this I went through the different speeds at the time, and it seemed to be running correctly. Usually if there's a problem, you'll hear it at the lower end. So if you're doing something for, nice big click, if you're doing something for half a second, eighth of a second, you'll hear it, you'll feel it. It'll run very slowly if there's a problem. If it has batteries in it, then check out that this is nice and clean and tidy inside. If not, give it a good clean when you get home. Cotton wool bud, always simplest method. Get in there, dab it around. Isopropyl alcohol, methylated spirits, anything that's going to evaporate. You don't want to leave any residue behind, so make sure that's clean and tidy. Most of them nowadays take the AG13, which is still easy to get hold of. I've seen these batteries for sale for different cameras, and it's just an AG13, and they've probably been selling at £8, £9, £10. Be on the lookout. I got these from, I think it was our local pound shop, a pound. So I've got 4 batteries that I'm going to use, and then I probably won't ever use these, but £2, I couldn't go wrong, could I? And they do work. Probably not as good or last as long as the original ones that were purposed for the camera, but for your just occasional use, that should be okay. Make sure you put them in correctly. The polarity does make a difference. The times I've put the batteries in a camera and thinking the camera's at fault, it's me, didn't check the polarity. I'd put them in upside down, put them in the correct way, and the camera worked. So this is the Fuji. Now you can see what I mean by those fine little bits of rubber. That means it's definitely breaking down, which is coming from the back here. Can you see there? It's definitely coming from in there, so that actually needs fixing if I'm going to use it. But if it's just a curio, don't worry about it too much. Be selective. If you're looking for a particular camera, research it on YouTube. Make a list of all the pitfalls when you're buying a second-hand camera. And good hunting. I love car boots and charity shops. It's amazing what you can find. In the summer of 1967, a really big event happened. My friend in the next bed to me had asked his parents could he have a transistor radio for this, and at 7:15, September the 30th, we lay there anticipating this. Go. The voice of Radio 1, just for fun music. I don't think people realised how that was going to change people's lives. It was a really big event. We'd suddenly gone from band music to popular music. Another big event we were missing out on was the Summer of Love. We didn't really want to miss out on that. There was an occupational lady came round and gave us things to do. I made several things out of leather. I remember making a tobacco pouch. I smoked a pipe at the time. Yeah, frowned on today. I also made a large leather case for my guitar. But with all these offcuts and bits of felt, we managed to sort of festoon our apparatus above our heads on my friend next door, and we sent for some caftans out of the local papers. They were nothing more than just long shirts called now caftans. Got some beads which the nurses had donated, and I do remember this particular girl again, but there's a place in Ipswich called California, and she managed to get me a couple of bells, so we had bells hanging round our neck. Yes, there is a place in Ipswich called California. Look it up if you don't believe me. I'm nearly always forgetting. If you liked it, give us a tick. Subscribe if you want to know more. This story goes on and on a little bit. A lot more photography yet to come. Things do get better. My time in hospital now is drawing to an end. I found a lot about human nature and myself while I was in hospital at the time. I was hoping now that instead of just going back to my normal life where it was work, 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 I would finally be able to get to college. After all, there must be some sort of compensation. The accident wasn't our fault. If I get to college, see the next video. See you soon. Keep smiling.